introduction. On Friday, the 6th of January 2023, His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, summoned Parliament to sit to receive and consider the 2022 preliminary delimitation report in terms of section 110, subsection 2C. The report was tabled in both houses by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Zanu-PF. Consequently, the Committee on Standing Rules and Orders appointed an ad-hoc committee on the analysis to analytically consider the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission 2022 preliminary report on the delimitation exercise, legal instruments which are related to the delimitation exercise, looked at the previous delimitation reports for 2007 and 2008. Given the technical nature of the delimitation exercise, the committee engaged a consultant with expertise in delimitation issues and public policy. Furthermore, the committee received oral evidence from ZEC to get an appreciation of how they conducted the delimitation exercise. The committee also received written submissions from members of Parliament on their appreciation of the work undertaken by ZEC in fulfilling its constitutional mandate, considering that this was its first delimitation exercise after the enactment of the 2013 Constitution of Zimbabwe. In its analysis, the committee, however, came up with key findings and observations, which include the following. Wide boundaries that were delimited above and below the maximum and minimum thresholds. B. Insufficient information in descriptions of words. C. Highly complicated coding system. D. Unspecified map scale. E. Unlabeled words. F. Topographic features not present on the map. Maps that do not show old and existing boundaries. Lack of justification on changes in boundaries in specific words and constituencies. Polling stations not indicated on the maps. Use of preliminary census data. Possible misinterpretation of the minimum and maximum thresholds. Madam Speaker, legal compliance issues. Section 160 and 161 of the Constitution and Section 37A of the Electoral Act provide for the legal basis for the delimitation of electoral boundaries. Link between population census and the delimitation exercise. Section 161(1) of the Constitution requires delimitation to take place as soon as possible after a population census. Population is a critical consideration for delimitation and is listed in Section 161(6)(f) as one of the factors to be considered in attaining equal number of voters in a constituency for one. The population census contemplated in this section is the final report. Final census report, Madam Speaker. The committee noted that ZEC considered the registered voters population and not the total population. According to the report, they only used the census preliminary report to correlate the registered voters population with the adult population. The use of the selective segment of the population census, which is referred to as the adult population in the ZEC report, is perceived to be a non-conformity to the constitutional values and principles as enunciated in Section 3, subsection 2J and K, which relates to the equitable sharing of national resources, including lands and devolution funds, respectively. A population census measures the entire population, including non-voters and children, who are also affected by the limitation of electoral boundaries in respect of service delivery. Madam Speaker, the committee took judicial notice of the fact that the final census report is yet to be finalized and published, and acknowledged the impediment of COVID-19 pandemic as a factor that delayed the holding of the population census at the time it had been scheduled, which had a bearing on the timing of the delimitation exercise. In light of this, the committee noted that ZEC purportedly considered the available preliminary census reports in an effort to comply with the constitutional obligation of delimitation. Madam Speaker, distribution of registered voters wards and constituencies. The committee noted that the report shows evidence of violation of Section 161, subsection 3 and 4 of the Constitution, providing for equal number of voters in the boundaries of constituencies and wards. The committee observed that this provision was not fully adhered to, as there are instances where some constituencies and wards had more registered voters than others within the same province. A case in point is Bringa district, which had 70,988 voters, but had almost the same number of wards with Cholocho district, which had 38,619 voters, in Gubi district, which had 33,295 voters. Madam Speaker, on this point, we also observed that ZEC depended on Ministry of Local Government in coming up with a number of wards. So we don't know whether there was enough consultation between the two after observing these voter populations, whether there was enough consultation that Binga would be disadvantaged if it had to maintain the same number of wards. Madam Speaker, in addition to the above, the report shows evidence that consideration is listed in subsection 6, such as the means, Madam Speaker, in the geographical distribution of registered voters, community of interest is still registered. In addition to the above, the report shows evidence that the consideration listed in subsection 6, such as the means of communication within the area, the geographical distribution of registered voters, community of interest as between registered voters, were not fully complied with. In order to give effect to the consideration, the subsection must be read together with the constitutional values and principles, as well as national objectives and devolution provided in Section 3 and Chapter 2 of the Constitution, respectively. See, the committee noted that in the spirit of promoting and observing the principles of good governance, that encompasses transparency, justice, and fairness. The report should have provided justifications for collapsing constituencies and wards. The Constitution in Section 68 provides for the administrative conduct of decisions that are both substantially and procedurally fair. Section 9 of the Constitution talks about good governance, wherein commissions and other bodies established by and under the Constitution should carry out their functions fairly and honestly. The collapsing of constitutions and wars affects the legitimate expectations of stakeholders who may be adversely affected by the decision. The explanation by ZEC during the oral argument was that constituencies with fewer registered voters the explanation by ZEC during the oral argument was that constituencies with fewer registered voters were collapsed to give in registered voters to constituencies which had more numbers of the registered voters. However, in some instances, the formula was not applied consistently, as wards or constituencies with more registered voters were collapsed to boost numbers in wards of constituencies with fewer numbers. The case in point is Chikomba Central, 16,611 voters, which was collapsed to seat voters to Chikomba East and Chikomba West, which had 14,000.
There is a same point of order. This is why your point of order.
A similar case was South, which was 18,645 voters, which was collapsed to voters, which had 21,700 and 16,822 voters elected. ZEC confirmed to the meeting that it was those constituencies with lower voter population which were being collapsed to meet thresholds in bigger constituencies. Consideration of factors in section 161, subsection 6. The Constitution requires that all factors listed in subsection 6 must be considered. These are namely community of interest, means of communication, physical features, geographical distribution of registered voters, existing electoral boundaries, and population. This will also require stakeholders' consultation of the affected voters. The committee noted that the formula of criteria used as well as justification for the decision were not provided. The observation of the committee was that there was possible misinterpretation by ZEC of the 20% variance provision in subsection 6, as some wards and constituencies ended up having a variance of up to 40%. This therefore defeats the spirit of the Constitution trying to achieve equality of voters. The annexure to the report clearly demonstrates how the standard deviation in certain instances where I was well above 20% variance. Honorable Speaker, in applying Section 161 of the Constitution, ZEC had an obligation to take due regard of other constitutional provisions, such as Section 3(2)J, which provides for the equitable sharing of national resources, including land, and Section 264, subsection 2E, which provides the equitable sharing of local and national resources. In addition, in terms of Section 233, subsection C, ZEC has an obligation to promote constitutionalism and ensure that injustices are remedied. Madam, Mr. Speaker, I say, stakeholder consultation. Section 37A of the Electoral Act requires stakeholder consultation. The committee noted that stakeholder consultation were not fairly done, considering that there are certain areas wherein key stakeholders such as traditional leaders were not consulted. Section 1616D of the Constitution provides that when dividing Zimbabwe into wards and constituencies, Zimbabwe Electoral Commission must, in respect of any area, give due consideration to any community of interest as between registered voters. This issue of non-involvement of key stakeholders is drawn in areas where registered voters were moved from their traditional leaders. To this end, the committee's view is that if stakeholder consultation were widely conducted, the community of interest issues should have been avoided. Then observation made on maps, Mr. Speaker. The committee noted that the coordinate system used by ZEC was too complicated for ordinary Zimbabwean citizens to understand and interpret spatial data represented on the maps. It is the committee's considered view that ZEC had an option to use a simpler geographical coordinate system that represents location in terms of degrees, minutes, and seconds, such that users can simply enter the coordinates on the Google Maps to identify locations in their respective wards and constituencies. ZEC indicated that it used the geographic and projected system, which is modern and also adopted by other countries in the SADC region. The coordinates on the maps are meant for experts, while the descriptions were for use by the general public. While this coordinate system used by ZEC was in line with new models of mapping in the southern region, ZEC should have considered other user-friendly methods which can be understood by ordinary citizens. In the committee's view, it was not prudent to prioritize regional benchmarks without considering the interest of citizens. We do not know whether the benchmarks being referred to by ZEC also extend to how electoral commissions must choose voting systems. Map scale not defined in the description. The map and maps prepared by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, the description prevails. However, ZEC neither provided any description of the scale in its report, nor did it indicate or specify the scale on the actual map. Therefore, it is within ZEC's obligation to describe the map scale used in each map in their description. The absence of clarity on the map scale used made it difficult to compute average walking distances to get to the polling station. For example, ZEC indicated on the maps that maps were digitized from a scale of 1 to 50,000 and 1 to 250,000, but did not indicate the actual cell in which the data on the maps was presented. The committee was unable to obtain clarification from ZEC on the specific scale that was used. Then, C, list speakers. Some was defined in the description but not labeled on the map. Section 161, subsection 7b of the Constitution asserts that after delimiting wards and constituencies, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission must submit to the President a preliminary report containing a map showing the wards and constituencies. ZEC provided maps where some of the wards were not labeled and some were not labeled and some were not labeled, making it difficult for one to identify those wards that were unlabeled.
For the President to identify those wards.
This speaker says, due to the limitation on scale,